Welcome to the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcasting Network. This is the Dale Lolley Show. I am your host, Dale Lolley. And, the Steelers have 2 days of practice now in the books. And more of the same at the quarterback position with Mitch Trubisky working with the ones, Mason Rudolph at 2, Kenny Pickett with 3. In fact, the Steelers did their first 7 shots drill today. Mitch Trubisky 3 for 4 in 7 shots, throwing 3 touchdown passes. He had a 4th touchdown pass dropped by Zach Gentry. Mason Rudolph didn't fare quite as well, was 1 for 3, one of those being a touchdown. Kenny Pickett did not get an opportunity in that. One thing that did happen, though, was that the true competition, I think, on this team for a starting spot is at the left guard position. And I know, looking back at last year, Kevin Dotson, there were some murmurings about how the team wasn't happy with his preparation for the season. And a lot of people took that to mean, including, it was reported on DKPittsburghSports.com. That's where the story broke, that the team wasn't happy with that. And here's what Kevin Dotson said about it today. And I'll say this because today Kendrick Green was with the starters at left guard, and Kevin Dotson was with the twos. After yesterday, it was reversed. Those two are battling for that left guard spot. Kevin Dotson said today, last year, I was more anxious in meeting rooms. I knew what it was, but once coaches started calling names and stuff like that, I was like, I don't want to mess up. I was thinking too hard on not messing up. You know the answer, just say it. Don't overthink it. Just say it. Now I can say it fast. I've been in the playbook. I feel good about it. So that should give you a little bit more. I don't know that it was anything about his weight or anything like that. The team, because he wasn't quick with answers on stuff when they asked him questions, weren't sure that he had been in the playbook as much as he should have been. And that's what I said last year at the time when that stuff all happened, because he looked to be in good shape to me, but you don't know what's going on in the meeting rooms. You don't know what's going on happening in those kind of situations. So that to me is what I look at with Kevin Dotson. And he feels like he's better prepared for that this year than he was last year. Maybe just a little more confident, a little more, again, just on his P's and Q's when it comes to the playbook. And that's a big thing when you're an offensive lineman, because an offensive line play is about how all 5 players play together. It's not just a singular position. It's not cornerback where you got this guy. You have to be ready and know exactly what everybody else around you is doing well. Not just your job, but what's the job of the right guard? What's the job of the center? What's the left tackle doing beside you? Those kind of things matter. But this is an actual competition, folks. And, if you look at it, I think Kendrick Green might be more what they're looking for in that starter. He's the more mobile guy. Kevin Dotson's a masher. Now, does that mean he can't get out and lead block on a sweep or something like that? No, that doesn't mean that at all. But Kendrick Green's better at it. He just is. So he's very mobile. He was one of the most mobile offensive linemen in last year's draft. So, this may be something, this could be something that goes for a while here before they make that determination. And, I think it's going to be interesting to continue to watch that. Maybe just as much, or if not more so, than the quarterback situation, because I don't know that as I've said all along, I don't know that the competition in this training camp is necessarily for number 1. I think the competition is really to see who's number 2. And right now, Kenny Pickett had a couple more interceptions today. That's going to happen with rookie quarterbacks. I'm not ready. Certainly not going to write him off after, a couple of practices. But he's having some rookie struggles out there. And it's not like Mason Rudolph's lighting the world on fire. He's just doing the job. So, I think that's really where the competition is here. This is Mitch Trubisky's job to lose, but I don't know that there is a guy who's the front runner. I guess if it comes down to it, Kevin Dotson would be considered the quote unquote front runner at the left guard position. But remember, he's only got 14 career starts under his belt. Kendrick Green has 15 career starts under his belt, even though he's only played 1 year. So it's not like Dotson's an established starter. So, these guys are battling it out. And we'll see, how this works out, how, who ends up winning that job. But today it was Kendrick Green's turn to run with the ones. Yesterday it was Kevin Dotson. Probably be back to Kevin Dotson again on Friday as the Steelers practice on Friday. And then they'll put the pads on Saturday. I mean, if they rotate this every other day with one of them in the starting lineup, that just shows you how the coaching staff views this. They also weren't super happy with Kevin Dotson last year with his recovery from that high ankle sprain. If you remember, he suffered a high ankle sprain in week 10 and then didn't play again the rest of the year. And that was 8 more weeks. That was basically 2 months he was out with that high ankle sprain. He said this today. He said, I learned in other ways. I got hurt, but I kind of learned that rehab was more of a thing that I need than I had been doing before. I was pretty much going through or I was pretty much going to sleep, and that was my rehab. I might get in the hot tub every so often. Now I kind of have a schedule of what I need to do before I actually start working out. So maybe somebody just got in his ear a little bit and said, hey, we need you to be more into your playbook and you need to be better on your rehab. We can't have you missing the last 2 months of the season. Even though it's a high ankle sprain, those are usually a 6-week injury. It can't turn into something that's eight weeks or season ending. So that's the situation with Kevin Dotson. And if they're using Kendrick Green as a way to light the fire under him, I think it's more than that. I think Green has an actual chance to start there. So we'll see how that continues to work its way out here at training camp at St. Vincent College. We'll take a break. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to the Dale Lolley Show here on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley here on the Dale Lolley Show, and had an opportunity to talk to Brian Flores today. Got him for a one-on-one, and we chatted for a good 5-10 minutes. He seems like he's in a pretty good spot here. There's no, I think everybody kind of sees when a guy files a lawsuit against the NFL that there's some bitterness there. It's not aimed at the Steelers, certainly. He's loving his job here with the Steelers. Said it's given him a chance to, go back and, after 3 years of being a head coach, just to go back and be an assistant coach again is kind of refreshing for him because it gives him an opportunity to get to know the players in that room. Because you don't really get that opportunity as a head coach because you have to have a more of a broad-based view of everything. So Flores really enjoying being an assistant coach again. And I asked him about the play calling stuff, because obviously Mike Tomlin does some of that, not all of it, like it's been reported on some other outlets. Mike Tomlin, as the head coach, always has the ability to get called what he wants called on certain situations. But the Steelers really do. When they drop a game plan, it really is all of the coaches in that defensive room coming up with the game plan. Who calls the plays on Sundays? Okay, that doesn't matter. It's going to be Terrell Austin first and foremost. That's who's going to make the play calls. But Brian Flores has done it before. He's come up with game plans, obviously, before. He was the play caller for the Patriots in 2018. even though he didn't have the defensive coordinator title. He was the play caller. But he talked about, just how, it's going to be fun drawing up game plans with that defensive coaching staff with Mike Tomlin. And he said, look, the head coach is always going to have those kind of veto power over anything. If he wants to call, or if he wants to see something, he's going to call it. And for Mike Tomlin not to be calling defensive plays would be outside the norm. I mean, he was a very good defensive coordinator. Now, he only did it for 1 year, but he's been around the game for so long. He's a keen defensive mind. And, I said to Flores, like, look, I know even when he was the play caller with the Patriots in 2018, people didn't call that Brian Flores' defense. They called it Bill Belichick's defense. That's just the reality of the situation, because the head coach is always going to, have that veto power. And he said, look, if there's something Mike feels strongly about and that's what he wants to see, we'll get that done. As the head coach, he's got the final word. He's got the pen last. But through that, getting to game day, there's a lot that happens. There's a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations, a lot happens. In that way, somebody has got the final say, but it's always collaborative. So that's what people need to understand about the Steelers and how they do things. They do come to a consensus on a lot of these things, whether it be draft stuff, the game plan, those kind of things. And obviously somebody has to have the final say when it comes to the play calls. Terrell Austin is going to be making the defensive play calls for the Steelers in 2022. But Mike Tomlin's always going to have veto power over what's called. That's just the reality of the situation, because it's his neck on the line. It's his team. That's just how this works. But Brian Flores, a big addition for the Steelers this offseason. And you can read my story about that on dkpittsburghsports.com. You can also listen to all of our podcasts on the site as well, and on the network. We appreciate when you do that. It doesn't matter how you listen to them, whether it be on Spotify or Apple or wherever. You can, of course, listen to all of our shows on there. But that is going to do it for today's Dale Lolley Show here on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I'll be back with you tomorrow, wrapping up yet another day of practice. Talk to you then.